Hello. So for today, our first project will be a simple calculator. So pag nagturo tayo bukas dun sa mga students, kapag nag-open tayo ng Unreal Studio natin, the first thing we need to make sure is we check the configure dito sa baba, then click Sdk Manager. Then dito sa part ito sa taas, sa Android SDK location, dapat kalagay dito is something like users shared Android SDK. So iba yung akin kasi I'm using a Windows operating system. Pero for tomorrow, i-check natin isa-isa bago mag-start yung mismong training. Okay? So to start our simple calculator, this will be the first of three applications na gagawin ko for today. So click Start a new Android Studio project. Then let's name it Simple Calc. Okay. And then click na next. And then from this part, wala tayong iintindihin dun sa ibang versions. Ang concern lang natin is the phone and tablet. So we need to make sure na naka-Android API 17 tayo or Jelly Bean for the lowest possible version. Next, you just need to choose empty activity kasi we will be customizing this part. Then just leave the main activity default, then click finish. So it will generate a project file na gagamitin natin for tomorrow. So ito yung pinaka-workplace natin, no? On the topmost part, you will see the toolbars wherein doon makikita natin kung paano tayo mag-run ng application, our Android AVD Manager, and then our SDK Manager. Pero pinaka-gagamitin lang natin is the AVD Manager and the Run App button, yung play button. So to explain the parts, aside from the toolbar, we also have the navigation bar dito sa pangalawang row. Nito yung simple calculator, app, source, main, Java. So, etong part na to, sinasabi sa atin kung ano yung file na naka-open right now dito sa ating working area. So, since naka-open yung main activity.java, ito yung pinakadulo nung ating navigation bar. Next is the editor window. So, ito yung pinaka part kung saan tayo nagta-type ng code natin. So, ito yung first part. Pwede siya maging pure text lang. But for example, if we are working with certain XML files like activity_main.xml, pwede tayo mag-switch into design view. When we switch to design view, makikita natin na mag-iiba yung editor window natin na merong mini emulator. Meron tayong mga properties sa right side na gagamitin din natin mamaya. And then, we have the components such as plain text, radio button na pwede natin i-drag and drop dito sa ating emulator sa gitna. Next, sa left side, we have our tools window. So, dito pwede tayong mag-search, pwede tayong mag-version control. Pero right now, our main use for this is para maghanap ng files. And we have two ways of viewing the files. First is the default, which is Android. And then, if you switch to project view, dito mo mismo makikita yung structure directory ng app mo kapag sinearch mo talaga siya sa operating system or sa documents mo. So, medyo maraming unnecessary files dito, so we will be using the Android version. And then, sa bottom part is the status bar. So, dito nyo makikita yung Gradle build finish kung gaano katagal. Dito nyo makikita kung merong messages. Yung terminal din lalabas dito to show errors. And dito lalabas sa lower right side yung loading progress bar natin. So to explain the folders dito sa ating tools window sa left side, the very first one sa manifest folder natin, meron tayong Android manifest. So this is like the metadata of our Android application. So you don't need to change anything from here. Next, under sa Java folder, the very first one is the main activity. So dito natin ito type yung ating Java code para ma-manipulate yung buong application. Next, we have the res folder, which is the resource folder. Kapag in-expand natin siya, there are more options. The first one is a drawable, wherein we will be placing our assets, yung mga images natin. Next, layout folder, wherein andun yung activity_main.xml. So, eto yun. Yung kapag inopen natin into code, eto siya. Pero kapag design view, eto yung itsura niya. Lastly, we have the values folder. Ang pinaka-importante lang gagalawin natin dito is the strings.xml. So, ano bang meron dito sa strings.xml? Bale, dito natin nilalagay yung mga values na pwede nating i-reuse throughout our application. So, for example, dito sa activity main.xml, meron tayong hello world. So, isipin na lang natin na meron tayong kailangang ulitin na text for 20 or 30 times dito sa application natin na puro hello world lang. Walang problema kung mano-mano natin siya ilalagay, just like this one kapag chinek mo sa text. Ito yung part na yun. So, isipin mo may 20 tayong text view na component na puro hello world. However, paano kung yung 15 dun or kalahati dun, gusto natin baguhin into hello FEU. So, instead na isa-isa natin babaguhin, what we can do is we can assign a string value here. So, just type string tag. Then, mapapansin nyo meron tayong IntelliSense or autocomplete. You can just press tab para makomplete siya. So, let's assign a name. So, test, kunwari lang. Then, closing tag. Puso na siyang lalabas. And then, after that, pwede tayong maglagay dito ng hello FEU. So, save natin yan. And then, balik tayo sa activity_main.xml. So, instead of the hello world dito, papalitan natin siya. And what we can type is @string, which corresponds to the strings.xml. Then, slash. Lalabas na yung mga available na values dito. So, kung napansin nyo, may dalawa tayong tag kasi dito. App name saka test. So, kaya yun yung lumalabas dito na possible values. So, kapag pinili natin test, then you save it, kapag tinignan mo yung design view, nagpapalit siya into hello FEU. So, mas madali siya kasi reusable. Bago rin tayo mag-start, di-discuss ko tong AVD Manager. So, bago tayo mag-start doon sa mismong application, just click AVD Manager sa taas. Then, most likely, wala pa tong laman dito sa MacLab pag nag-try tayo. But, we will be using Nexus 4 API 19. So, paano ba natin gagawin yung entry na yan? So, first, you click Create Virtual Device. Then, you will see a display or a list of devices. And then, let's choose Nexus 4. Click Next. And then, dito nyo makikita yung mga available na system image. The original plan is to go with Jelly Bean 17. However, we're having problems downloading Jelly Bean sa ating MacLab. So instead, we will be using the lowest version available, which is KitKat. So click nyo lang yung entry na yun. Click Next. And then, just click Finish. So hindi ko na-click to para hindi mag-double. Pero kapag kinlik nyo yung Finish na yun, lalabas yung entry dito. Okay. After that, pwede nyo exit yan. Then to formally start, we will be preparing a set of assets or images para sa ating participants. So, ito yung gagamit nating assets for the simple calculator. So, 5 images, we just need to select all of them. Copy or Control-C. Or for our MacLab, it's Command-C. Then, balik tayo sa ating Android Studio. Then, look for the drawable folder. Right-click and click Paste. Just click OK, and then lahat sila malilipat na dito. So, syempre, the very first thing that we will be changing is yung background ng ating application. So, to do that, punta tayo sa activity_main.xaml. and then we go to the text version. So, pwede natin burahin na to since we will no longer be using that. And then, dito sa relative layout, we will be using relative layout by the way kasi we want to make sure na mag-i-scale siya kahit anong device ang gamitin natin. So, there are other types of layouts that we have for our Android Studio. So, one is linear layout. Itong ginagamit natin sa relative layout. Then, we also have table layout. Yun yung for rows and columns siya na specific. Tapos, absolute layout is kailangan by pixels mo siya i-assign. Tapos, frame layout. And then, the last is list layout. So, or list view layout. So, for our participants tomorrow, we will be just using the relative layout and then we will let them na sila na mag-discover kung anong gusto nilang gamitin ibang layouts. But we will be encouraging relative layout. So, dito sa tag na to, sa relative layout, dadagdag lang tayo ng Android, colon, then background, equal sign. Sa loob yan, type ko lang at drawable, and then, kapag nag-control space ako, lalabas yung mga available na background. Kung napansin nyo, the names of the available backgrounds correspond to this one. So, files sa drawable folder. So, I need the CalQ background. So, on choosing CalQ, papansin nyo kagad yung change. So, diba, from nothing kanina, nagkaroon kagad tayo ng background based sa binigay sa atin na assets. Okay. So, after natin palitan yan, kailangan natin maglagay ng text or place para makapag-type yung gagamit ng application natin. So, we will be switching back here sa design view. And then, dito sa text fields, may iba-ibang klase na text fields. May plain text lang, may password, may email, may phone, may date time, may number. Bakit siya nakakategorize ng ganito? If you can remember, when you are using your Android devices, may mga times na napupull up siya ng QWERTY keyboard at minsan, keypad lang. So, dito na based dito na determine kung anong klaseng layout or anong klaseng keyboard ang ipo-pull out ng device natin. So, for this one, we'll be using number. So, I will drag the number here, number component. And kung mapapansin nyo ulit, merong mga lumalabas na parang anchors or measurement. So, isakto lang natin siya dito. Okay. And then, if you want to resize it, just click Shift para ma-resize nyo siya with your desired size. So, yan. Another one, we will be, bago tayo maglagay ng isa, we can utilize the properties window here. Then, habang nakaselect yung number text field na yun, we can change the ID para mas madali nating ma-identify later on. So, for this one, let's choose or let's enter num1. Then, let's drag another number component sa ibaba. Then, gawin natin same size sila. And habang nakaselect yung pangalawa, let's change also the ID of that from edittext2 to num2. Okay. So, may dalawang changes na akong ginawa, no? If you will be switching back to the text view, those changes in the design view are also implemented here in the edit text. Papansin nyo rin na yung pangalan ng ID natin is nagpalit into num1 and num2 here. So, if you're familiar with HTML, meron tayong tinatawag sa HTML na placeholders. And we will be doing the same thing here. So simply type Android, then hint. Okay. Right now, wala pa tayo may lalagay. So what we will do is we will go back to the strings.xml. You can already delete the first one since natin siya ginagamit. Then let's type a new one. Hint. Okay, num1 underscore hint. Then enter first number. Okay. Para mabilis copy natin yan, we have the second one. Num2 hint, enter second number. Then gagawin ko na rin yung isa pang mamaya, string name equals to result, then 0. Okay. So mamaya pa natin gagamitin yung result na string variable. Pero nilagay ko na siya dyan para naka-ready na. So let's go back to activity main.xml, and then we will be placing here at string num1 hint. We will do the same for this one. So Android hint at string num2 hint. Okay. So kapag tinignan natin design part, nag-update na siya kagad dito. Okay. So next one, we will be using another component, which is the image button. So dito natin, ito natin yung gagamitin natin para sa mga operands natin or other operators. So first, drag natin isang image button dito. Then it's best na i-edit natin siya kagad from text. So let's look here. Then type Android, similar kanina, background, at drawable. Okay, add. Upon saving that, makita nyo na mag-update na kagad siya dito. So we will be doing the same thing para sa ibang operators natin. So let's drag here. Then text. Copy natin to para madali na tayong mag-dagdag. Enter. Then let's change this to sub. Lalabas na siya kagad. So isang importanteng tandaan natin dito when we're using relative layout is kailangan nakaplano kagad ahead of time yung ating layout. So kung napansin nyo, sakto yung graphics natin sa background, dun sa place ng mga number fields natin, number text fields, pati dito sa mga operators. So let's drag the third and the fourth one. May mga guides tayo to show na nakapantay lahat siya, no? So kahit na nandyan siya, kapag change natin dito, small for multiplication, align pa rin siya. So pwedeng layuan para more spaces. Yan. For the fourth one, let's drag it here. And then palitan natin on this part. Div. Papansin nyo, align na kagad siya. So we already have 6 new components. The first two are the number text field, and then this for image buttons for the operators natin. Then we have one more plain text para sa result. Place it here. Yeah. So what we can do here is we can implement yung kaninang string na nilagay ko. So Android hint was at string result. May isa pa tayong pwedeng gawin. Android text size. Siyempre for emphasis to. And we'll be using 50 SP. So ano yung sabihin ng SP? So SP stands for Screen Independent Pixels. So ito yung pinakagagamit natin para scalable siya. So kapag nag-switch back tayo sa design, makikita natin na lumaki na yung text and na-implement na yung 0 na naka-assign doon. So ayos na natin yung layout natin. The next thing that we need to do is to make sure that we have or we can able to manipulate these components sa ating Java file. So click natin yung add dito or yung add image button, and then let's look for the on-click property. Then we can do add. Okay. M stands for method. So ibig sabihin maghahanap siya ng method within the Java file. So kailangan natin ilagay yun. But before that, we also need to make sure na naka-instantiate din yung ating mga components sa ating Java file. So what we need to do is declare first yung ating mga components. So under public class main activity, we can type here text view. Hold on. Baguhin pala natin yung link nito. We haven't changed this ID. So instead of edit text, just choose result para uniform siya. Yun yung gagamit natin dito. Text view result. Okay, kapag nakita nyo may ganyan, you just have to press the Alt button and then click it. Ayan. So text view result, Alt, and then click nyo siya. Or Alt Enter para lumabas na dito yung import na kailangan nating import. We also need num1 and num2 since meron tayong text fields from there. So aside from that, iba pala yung type natin. So edit text, num1, num2. So same lang din. Kung tayo dyan, Alt Enter, import class, lalabas yan. After that, dito sa onCreate natin, i-instantiate natin siya. So, num1 equals to edit text. We are doing typecasting. Find view by ID. And there's a loob r.id.num1. So that corresponds to the component doon sa ating activity.sum, activity main under XML. And then num2 edit text, find view r.id.num2. We also have this result equals to text view. Pansin nyo kung ano nilalagay natin dito. The same with this one here. Find view by ID result. So after that, sa Java, if you can remember, kung nakapag-take na kayo ng Java class, we are using accessors when we're creating Java classes. So we will do the same here. We will be creating public float get value int id. Okay. So we will be using an if condition here. So if id are num1 return float that parse float. This num1 here corresponds no longer to the elements ating activity.sum, but this one corresponds already to the num1 here inside our activity main activity.java. So num1.get text dot change it to string. So else return float dot parse float num2.get text to string. Alright. So anong ginagawa ng get value function natin? So get value function returns a data type of float, and it accepts a parameter of ID, integer ID, and it asks if yung ID na yun is similar sa ID ng num1 natin sa ating activity main.saml. So if the same siya, it will return the num1 value here sa ating instantiated sa onCreate. It will get the text and convert it to string, but ultimately it will be parsed into float para mag-match sa ating float na return type. Kung hindi naman siya num1, since we only have two edit text, it will be returning num2 instead. So saan ba natin gagamitin yan? Dito natin gagamitin yung function kanina na public void do add. If you can remember, it corresponds to the value we placed here, or we will be placing here sa ating onClick pag dito sa plus operator, add operator. So do add yung method dyan, it should correspond here. So sa loob, we will be declaring first a float num1, num2, rest. Take note that the values inside this to add, dyan lang siya gagamitin. It will not be the same as the num1 here. So wala magkakaroon ng conflict of values. But we will be assigning the num1 inside with the get value function. Then papasa natin to parameter na yan, because this returns an integer value na ipapasa dito sa ating get value int id. And since mababasa niya na num1 nga yung pinasa natin, it will return the value of the first edit text na inassign natin. This one. We'll do the same for num2. Afterwards, we will be doing our operation already. Res equals to num1 plus num2. And then, ultimately, we'll be assigning it there. Dun sa ating result. So, result dot set text string dot value of res. So, ano bang sinasabi itong last natin na line for this method? Yung result na to is corresponding to the result instantiated here sa ating Java file, which in turn corresponds to this one. Kung makikita nyo, yung ID niya is result. So, ito yung tinatawag natin. So, we make sure that that result component will have a text using the setText method. And it will have a string with a value of that result variable here or res variable here. Na ang laman is yung pinag-add natin num1 sa num2. So, try lang natin kung gumagana. So, let's press this one. Play button. And since naka-load na yung emulator ko kanina, mas mabilis na siya kesa i-instantiate mo ulit yung buong phone emulator. So, let's just wait. Kung matagal na tong part na to, mas matagal siya kapag in-exit nyo to, tapos na yun ulit. Ayan na. So, we have the first number here, second number, and then ito yung result natin. So, let's type 20, 20. So, wala nangyari, pero when you click this one, okay, so, nagkaroon ng error. Okay. So, may nakalimutan pala ako dito. So, we type here view. So, saan ko nakita yun? Ito. It expects a view parameter. So, pasensya na dun. So, let's click enter. Para ma-import siya. Then, let's run it again. Hopefully, gagana na siya. So, let's not forget this tomorrow kapag nagtanong sila bakit hindi gumagana. It should have a parameter. Data type view, and ito kahit view or v na lang siya. As long as we have the data type view. And, so, again, there. So, lumabas na yung result dito. So, 30. Pwede tayo mag-type na negative value. Syempre, it expects another value there. But, since gumagana na siya, let's just copy this one. And then, yes, magkakaroon siya error, pero sub. So, baguhin lang natin yan. Lumul. And then, multiplication. Into div. Then, division. Okay. So, right now, aside from changing it here, kailangan natin palitan syempre dito. So, this one should have a on-click do sub. mapapansin nyo, dito na nga siya sa listahan, no? Since na declare na siya dun sa Java file. So, do sub, and then do mul, and then lastly, do div. Okay. So, since assign natin yan, let's try again. Para mapakita natin gumana yung lahat ng 4 operators. Okay, so 1 plus 2, 3. So 1 minus 2, negative 1. So times 2, 0.5. So magana siya kaya. Okay. Sumobra na siya. So it's okay. Pero we know na this is our end product. So this is our simple calculator. So I hope na kahit mahaba, sana nakuha nyo yung kung paano gagawin to bukas. And then next video that I will upload will be tungkol naman doon sa intent, which is a very short version of this one. Okay. So thank you, and please wait for my next video.